Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to Torpedoes and Tarantulas 2. Well, the weather's warming up. It's starting to get a little nice outside, so I decided to go for a little ride on my Harley today. And I went out to a local lake right here on the outskirts of the city that I live in. And there is a nature trail out here. And what I'm going to do is we're just going to kind of walk through, see what we can observe. And then I'm going to come back in the spring when all the wildflowers are bloomed, and we will see the difference. Let me spin the camera around here and kind of introduce you guys to this place. This is Kachina Prairie. What I'm going to do is just kind of focus on the sign for a few seconds, and if you want to read it, you can pause and read that. That's the city lake back over that way, and then of course over here is the prairie. There's a poster of some of the wildflowers here in the state of Texas and some other things. Useful information about insects, how to identify poison ivy, and then down here is a little box that's got different little pamphlets about nature, about this particular area, the plants that we have here, and then some of the animals we have here. It's really cool. So without further ado, let's get started. Like I said, this is Kachina Prairie Nature Trail. It is a half-mile trail, so anyone can walk something like this. Again, I will just kind of focus down here for a second or two because this is really not useful information. Here we go. This is the beginning of it. This sea of dead grass that you see out here during the spring is just a blanket of color with all the wildflowers and everything. So I'm going to talk for a little bit longer, and then I'm going to pause, and then when we get to the 8th mile marker, we will come back on again. Something that I noticed the last time I was out here, for some reason they leave little pine cones hanging around. I don't know if they're trail markers or what, but I mean, of course you can see the footpath is clearly marked out. Now of course this all looks dead and desolate and everything, and with the overcast weather right now, it's just really ugly. But when we come back in the spring, you'll be surprised at the difference. And let me point something out here real quick. You see all these areas of matted down grass through here. This is all game trail. This is where something's been coming through during the night hours. Probably is when most of the critters around here move. All right, well, I am going to stop talking. There's another pine cone. And if I see something interesting or we get to the first marker, we will get back to you. Don't go anywhere, guys. All right, so we're coming to the first part of a small little forest or whatever, if you will. This little area right through here, although it may look wide open right now, and you can see for quite a ways, once these trees start budding and putting on their leaves, this will all be kind of foresty. It'll be nice and shady and pretty nice and peaceful back through here. Up around that bend up there is the 8th mile marker. I will come back to you when we get there. Okay, so here we go. We are a quarter of the way through the trail right now. This is the 8th mile marker. We've got forest on one side, if that's what you want to call it, and then a little bit of forest on this side, and then once we come through this curve up here, we will come back out on that prairie that I was showing you earlier. You may be able to hear airplanes in the background. This little area here is actually within the city limits, right on the edge of the city, and it's next to a small airport and a state highway, so you might hear car traffic too. But other than that, it's just nice and peaceful out here, and I just can't wait to show you guys the change just within a couple of months. I'll get back to you in a little bit. Found something that I thought would be kind of interesting to show you guys. You can kind of see this matted down little trail right through here. Something's definitely been coming through here, and then I noticed this. Somebody has been throwing out food out here, basically feeding the wildlife, which is really kind of a no-no. I mean, you don't want to feed the wildlife and then have them become dependent on you and not be scared of you or feel threatened by you, especially with some of the wildlife that moves through that brush right there. We have wild pigs out here, and that stuff right there could easily draw up wild pigs. A family could be walking through here and some mama wild pig and her babies could be over here feeding. It could get really ugly. So just remember, guys, when you're out in nature, treat it like nature and don't treat it like your pets. Don't feed them. Don't try to get close to them and get selfies with them. Just leave them be and observe them from a distance. All right, guys, so here we are coming up on the halfway point of the walking trail. We're getting very near the next marker, which would be the quarter-mile marker. That's half of the trail, and we're now actually on the opposite side of the prairie where we started when I first showed you. I'm going to show you something really interesting here that I saw right out there in the middle of that sea of grass. There's an American bison out there. I'm going to move slowly and not talk too loudly so as not to startle him. I'm just going to continue onto the trail because it circles back around, and I'll try to circle back around in front of him and see if we can't get some shots of him. But for now, I'm going to end this video so that they don't get too long. I'm going to start another one again here in just a second, so keep watching, guys.